Hello and welcome to this session, Market Ki Baatein. My name is Raja Venkatraman. I am the co-founder of New Trader and also your trading influencer. Been in the market for more than 15 years, happily married with a loving wife and an energetic son who keeps me on the run just like the markets. So friends, welcome once again to this session. I hope all of you are able to hear me and all of you are able to get some insight into what's really happening. And yes, as we are getting along and trying to understand what's really happening in the markets and what is going on, I thought, why don't I discuss with all of you about what exactly is the way to look at the markets? And well, today I thought that let's discuss about some topic which everyone thinks that they are familiar with. And when you talk about the concept of markets, well, we all want to understand how can we ensure that we get a good insight into the market condition. And yes, we always look at the price. So I thought, why don't we check on some part of the volume too? So that's why today's episode is focused on volume. And well, we are going to talk about volumes. We are going to talk about I'm going to be discussing about various aspects of volume for today's part one. And well, I'm going to be focusing on how the volumes can make an impact, how the volumes can make a difference, and how, when you look at some important things on volume, you'll be able to get some insights, right? So, with that, let me go right in and share with you my screen out here so that you get some perspective of what's really happening. So, meanwhile, why don't you guys tell me how many of you are really using the volume? Are you using the concept of volume? Are you using it on a regular basis? And are you really finding out that क्या वॉल्यूम से सचमुच कुछ पता चलता है आपको कि वॉल्यूम इज जस्ट another tool on the index? Well, many of us have got different perspective about volume, but then I truly feel that volumes are a good gives us good insight as to what is the overall market condition. And when you use volumes on the charts, it does give a very good insight. Yes, volume always precedes the price. So let's go and take a look at the volumes and get some perspective on how we can take the whole thing ahead. So let me just share my screen right now and give you some insight on how the whole concept of volume can play out, right? So right now, as we take a look at the volume setup, okay, so let's take a look at the volume, right? And once you take a look at the volume bar, so the volume is, let me just go onto the drawing board and let me first talk about, okay, I don't think we need a drawing board here. Everyone is familiar with volumes. So volume is something which tells you, okay, volume is a very good indicator which tells you how many people are actually participating. Today we'll focus on the equity side, and we'll be focusing in the forthcoming sessions about the other elements as well. So when you talk about volumes, the most important thing in volume is you get a measure of the activity. You get a measure of the activity that is currently participating in that particular stock. So for example, if I take this particular stock, okay, all right, let me just remove this line here. Okay. So, and if we take a look at this particular stock, so it could be any time frame, and you will get a measure of the perspective. So what a volume does is a volume gives you an indication. A volume gives you an indication of how the people are participating in that particular stock. So when you are able to take a look at the volume, you immediately are able to connect. Okay, you immediately are able to connect with what is really happening. How is the whole play out of the market participation, and how people are responding to the price action. So now, if you take a look here, right? Take a look here, you can see that there was absolutely no volume, very low volume. There was a sharp volume out here, right? And then after the sharp volume rise, the prices are not moved along a little bit. So how can we use volume and how can we use it for our trading purposes is what we are going to study today. And we are going to find out how can we use volume and how can we ensure that we are able to get on the right side of the trend. So let me just show you certain charts. So let me first show you the chart of HCL Tech. So take a look at this chart of HCL Tech. You can see here, right? One of the major influences when you use volume is when there is a good combination. So for example, okay, for example, if I hide the volume charts here, so there is a general indication of a rise here, and then suddenly from here on there is a fall in the price. So now to corroborate our evidences, what we have to do is we have to take some help from some indicator. And the most important thing, which is always available along with the price, without going into the other details, which we will see at a later date. But then today's edition, I'm focusing on how can I use simple concept like volume. So when I add volume to the charts, you can see here that slowly there has been an increase in the volume, right? You can see here as the price started to fall, right? As the price started to fall, there has been an increase in volume. So whenever you want to take part in a trended action, if you combine the price movement with the increase in volume, it always gives you a good indication that yes, this particular price action is definitely moving on the right side. It is a trended action. So yes, it makes it very easy for us to participate. So now, how can you action this? All you have to do in this scenario is go down here, use a simple trend line. For those who are not familiar with the trend line, you can go and refer the previous episodes of Market Ki Baatein. I have shown you how to draw trend line. You can see here that this particular trend line, which is there, it is an indication or it is an giving you an insight of the continuation of the trend, right? So what happens here is that there is a trend line break, right? All of you can see this trend line break here, correct? The trend line is broken here, and when the trend line is broken and there is also an increase in volume, it is an indication that yes, the supports are being broken and supports are being broken with volume. So it is a clear signal that there is some strong bearish activity. You can see here from the levels of 1000, the price dropped all the way towards 880, right? And now you can see here, once this has happened, right? Once this has happened, you can see immediately there is a drop in volume, right? So we are seeing two sides of volume here. So now if you want to get a conviction that yes, the price drop is over or the price rise is over, you can always link it up to the volume. So now if you see here, the price fell down here and then there was a dry up in volume. Volumes are not as high as it was before. We will see some other aspects of volume, how to use certain indicators with volume, etc. in the upcoming episodes. But now just concentrate on the plain vanilla volume graph, which is there at the bottom panel, and you will get to see that yes, as the volumes dry out, you can also focus on the kind of candles that are forming here. The candles that are forming here are clearly small body candles. So small body candles with a dry up in volumes indicates that probably the decline that we saw is coming to an end. And now, as you move ahead, right, as you move ahead, you can see that the volume has been steady, right? No clear indication. Then soon as the prices starts to rise, if there is an increase in volume, then you can conclude that yes, there is a good movement in the price tags. Now let's take a more stronger example. You can see here, this is a chart of CRISIL. You can see here earlier in this 2 months ago, you can see here that the price spent quite a lot of time, right? Since the beginning of this year, there has been no particular movement. There has been no particular movement here. There has been ifs and buts. There are some shoots of volumes which are indicating movement, but there has been no follow through. And price never really got out of this range, right? You can see here the price never really got out of this range. So what was it indicating? It was indicating that there is some movement, but not much of participation. And as this particular breakout emerged, any breakout with volume is one of the key signals for market participation. So as a trader, okay, as a trader, as an investor, so if you're an investor, you got to shift to a higher time frame. We'll take a look at that as well. So you can see here that the stock spent nearly 6 months unable to cross this resistance zone. So we know of supply zone, demand zones, but then supply zone, demand zone पर क्या करना है? That is the most important question, right? So supply zone, demand zone पे अगर price action होता है, that's point number one. Whether price action के बाद follow through होता है, because price action is just one breakout of a resistance or a breakdown of a support. That's also price action, but then is it being followed through with some consistent participation, right? That's what you got to see. And you can see here that once there was a breakout from this zone and followed up with volumes, you can see the kind of moves that has emerged out here, right? You can see here the strong moves which have emerged out here. And then what are you seeing now? You are seeing that the prices are dropping. There is some fair bit of volume emerging there, but then what should you be taking as a signal from this volume is when the volumes are not as high. Okay, here people expecting the strong run that it has witnessed, probably they are actually going into some sell off or some profit booking rather than a sell off. So now if the prices have come to a decline and there are not much participation, as you can see from the volume bar, then you can conclude that this is a profit booking and the prices may soon recover from here. So you should not immediately construe this as a shorting opportunity. Yes, you could definitely engage in some intraday play, but then if you are looking as an investor to exit from your position, you got to see what really happens here. So again, if you take the help of a trend line and you just draw a trend line support out here, right? You can see this trend line support. You can see that the prices have actually come into the support. There has been some profit booking, and if the prices were to recover from here, and if you're holding CRISIL right now and you've exited your position, you'll be wondering, what did I do wrong that the stock has again gone up, right? So you can see that volume gives very good insights into how a price is going to move, because price and volume are the fundamental key points of a market action. So when you're going to look into this, you got to take volume with a pinch of salt, because everything that the volume says is not should be read threadbare. So now let's go and take a look at another example. Let's take a look at some recent examples. All right. So let's take a look at this. So if you see here right now, right, there was a sharp fall in Axis Bank in April. Then the stock did show a good move. You can see here towards the end of April, you saw a nice push drive to the upside. And after that, you can see here that there has not been much sell-off, right? And if I were to, if you just see the volume, the volumes have actually tapered off, right? You can see here that the volumes have actually gone down. What does this indicate? It indicates that as the prices were negotiating a certain level or a certain resistance zone. So what was really happening was that there was a contemplation of what should I be doing now? Should I go up? Should I go down? But then there was no real clarity out here. But now what has happened? The prices have gone out of this particular range, right? You can see here, this was a range. Prices spent some time, and now on Friday, there is a nice thrust above this zone. You can see here, there is also a good volume increase, right? So what does this say? It says that there is a strong potential of this stock to perform. And that's how you can combine the power of the price action with the power of volume action. Now, how can you benefit from the volume? When you go and combine it with some bit of support resistance. You can use a trend line, you can use a moving average, but at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to get into the stock when there is some action being shown. So now, why don't we take some other stock, okay, and go to the higher time frame. So let's go to the weekly chart, right? Let's go to the weekly chart. All right, let's go to the weekly chart and let's try and keep it here. Okay, keep it here, and let's go to HDFC Life. Right. So HDFC Life is the stock which is actively tracked. You can see here that there has been some steady volume out here. Now you can see that the prices are making, they're just making a base here, and then the prices gave a nice breakout. There is steady volume. So this chart is indicating, okay, you can see here there has been a steady increase in volume after the lows formed in March, and every time there is an increase, and once again now there has been an increase in volume. Check out Maruti. This is a weekly chart, right? You can see the weekly chart. Prices came down with volumes, right? Then the volume started to taper. And then now you can see here the recent volumes have been overcome with the strong volume which you saw last week. So what has essentially happened? It has managed to overcome these levels of resistance. Somewhere in the region of 7,300 was overcome quite aggressively, and you can see here that there is a strong push to the upside. So every time you take a look, there have been a very good move in Infosys as well, right? There have been very, very strong moves, and whenever there is a strong move, you can see that either there should be a strong move to the way down or strong move to the way up. And now, if there is a strong move to the way down, is it breaking important support? That's the first thing to find out. Or is it breaking important resistance? That is the other thing to find out. Then, when the resistances are crossed, is it supported by volume? Is it, if the supports are being broken, is it supported by volume? So when that really happens, you are able to get a good insight into the kind of price action which is under work, and that gives you a greater level of confidence when you see a good combination of price and volume. So this is what we have done in NeoTrader as well. In NeoTrader also, we have done a fantastic combination of price and volume, and we continuously run it through various kinds of filters that we have inbuilt, and with that we are able to give a right kind of guidance to all our users about what is the best price and volume combination and how users of NeoTrader are able to get a step ahead with the clear understanding of this particular element. सब लोग के पास तो वॉल्यूम चार्ट्स है, सब लोग के पास वॉल्यूम बार्स है, but people have difficulty in interpreting these elements, right? So let me just go down to few more charts so that you get some perspective of a very, very simple but powerful tool of volume, right? We'll be speaking about volume, how it plays a role along with open interest, what is exactly open interest, and what is the role of open interest in giving us a perspective about the market participation. That is going to be something which is going to be in the next part, and also many other things which are related to volume. So it's a four-part series which I'll be covering about volume. So today I'm just covering on the basic constructs of volume. So let's go to some other example. If you guys have any particular example, you can type it onto the chat and we'll definitely look at the same. Meanwhile, let me just go to an example which has been the favorite of many people. This is an active trading stock. You can see here it had its heydays, right? It had its heydays, and you can see that there has been strong volume which took the prices up. You can see here. But then what really has happened after it hit the 1400 levels is that the stock has completely stopped moving, and over the last few months, you can see here since November, the stock has never really made any kind of attempt to move higher, right? Active trading counter. But then what's really happened now is that there is a steady increase on the downside, and that's why you'll see here that the prices too witnessed some deterioration out here. You can see here the prices witnessed a deterioration. And now what has happened is that the prices are once again trying to go up, right? The prices are trying to go up once again, but you are seeing that it is not supported by volumes. So when you are going to take a look at some stock, right? When you're going to take a look at some stock, you got to find out whether a particular price action is supported by volume. So many people would be looking to initiate some long opportunity in escort, but then this is something which you should track. So right, so some people are typing onto the chat. Okay, let me take some users stocks as well. So all right, so let's take a couple of stocks. You can see here Hindalco, right? Metals have been on fire. You can see here that there was a sharp drop in Hindalco. This is, you can say, last year 2020, sharp rise in volume, right? So this was the sharp rise in volume on the downside, right? And now what are you seeing is you are seeing that this particular move, after when the rise began, you are also seeing a steady increase in volume. All right. And now what are we observing? We are observing that the prices have halted here, small body candles, and you can see some hesitation out here. And we need some more participation, but then the prices are not giving up as yet. So how can we ensure that we are staying on the long side in Hindalco? If you are looking at it from a longer term perspective, just draw a simple trend line, right? Just draw a simple trend line. And yes, this trend line is broken, but it is recovered from here. So you have a simple trend line which is holding, but then it's not a good enough support. So I would be a little hesitant here to initiate some long, because the charts are showing signs of giving up, and when the volume picks up to the downside, it will definitely come down on a swift pace, because people have been initiating long. So you got to tie it up with the volume. That's how it is. Yes, if the delivery volume is also good, then you can use that also as an additional level of filter, because that gives you a very good key if you are looking at the entire the stock from a holding perspective. Now, if you see here in the charts of few minutes, you can see here that there has been a steady increase in volume, right? Here the volume dropped because the prices were stagnant. So people were thinking that the rise is over and they are actually booking profit. But then the price took a brief dip and the volumes have once again picked up. So fall in price with the increase in volume. This is a simple mantra. Fall in price with the increase in volume is what you got to watch out for. And as long as it's not happening, so you got to be aware that you can book some of your position but not entirely, and that's how you will be able to trade wisely looking at the volume. Yes, volume is a very good indicator. It precedes price action, and when you want to take price action along with volume, you got to use some reference point as a threshold level, say a breakout of a support or breakout of a resistance. That will give you a very good clarity about whether the volume and the price are helping you to move ahead, right? So you can take a look at these setups. You can take a look at the kind of action here. So yes, let's go for the last stock, right? SW Solar, right? You can see here that this stock, right, this stock in particular was not so much of not in favor in 2020, but then the volumes have picked up. The volumes have picked up quite well, and for a volume bar, please note that when you're looking at the volume bar, if you see here, the prices went up, prices stagnated, there was some profit booking, but nothing much happened, and the sell-off came down. Prices are once again at support, and now the prices, after coming to this support level, are once again generating some volume. So probably this support zone is indicating some kind of buying interest, and that's why you're having some buyers who are entering the stock at this level. So if you are going to initiate some position, so this should be something to watch out for. Now, as we move into the future days, this would be a key level to watch out for, combining it with the volume. So as things stand here, once again, a fresh interest in this particular stock has come in play. So this is the way you got to combine the volume and the price action and get a good perspective, and you will be able to get more insights about the volume, what are the kind of, how you can relate volume and the other elements, what are the various kinds of indicators which are there, which are based on volume. So these are some things which I'm going to be covering as part of this series. So if you're watching this video for the first time, I would like you to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, set the reminder so that when I come live again on Market Ki Baatein, you will ensure that you will give me some of your time. Thank you so much for watching. This is Radha Venkatraman signing off, the co-founder of NeoTrader and also your trading influencer. Been in the market for more than 15 years, happily married with a loving wife and an energetic son who keeps me on the run just like the markets. Good day, everyone. Keep watching this video. If you like it, do share it with whomever you like to, and ensure that all these concepts are getting memorized, because these are simple concepts which we often overlook when we go ahead and take some trade. Thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe.